Good evening, and welcome to this regular meeting of the Helotes City Council. This is a regular meeting, and it is May 25th, 2017, and we're underway at 7 p.m. Before we get started on the agenda, I would like to ask if any of you have a cell phone or other electronic device, if you would turn it to off, silent, or vibrate, we'd appreciate it. And starting off our agenda tonight, we have invocation. Tonight, Councilmember Villanueva will do the invocation, and then we will have the pledges to the American and Texas flag. So if you would please stand for the invocation and pledges.
Heavenly Father, we gather here tonight to worship you and give thanks. We appreciate the gifts bestowed on each and every one in attendance tonight and pray for peace and good health. Let us give thanks to such a generous and loving God for life and abundant blessings. Special prayers go out to the families of those firefighters who were injured and tragically killed in a recent fire. May God bless their families and friends now and forever. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Okay, next on our agenda, we have oaths of office, and tonight that'll be me as mayor, Bert Buys as council member place 3, and Paul Fredericks as council member place 5. We're going to do these separately, and we've invited Judge Mario Trevino, who is our municipal court judge, to do the oaths of office to each of us, and we'll do them individually. And Judge, welcome. We'll just do it down here in front.
Raise your right hand, please, sir. In the name
In the name
and by the authority
and by the authority
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
I
I, Thomas A. Schoolcraft,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of mayor of the city of Helotes
of the office of mayor of the city of Helotes
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will do to the best of my ability
and will do to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
May I please get your signature on this? Have you signed? This goes immediately upon signature. Mayor?
Thank you.
Councilman
Next.
Congratulations, Councilman. Would you please raise your right hand? In the name
In the name
and by the authority
and by the authority
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
I
I, Bert Weiss,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of council member place 3 of the city of Helotes
of the office of council member place 3 of the city of Helotes
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of this state, so help me God.
and of the state, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Hey,
Council.
thanks for coming all the way from
My-
Mel.
My pleasure.
Judge.
Judge, we're gonna get a picture with you when we're all sworn. Oh, okay.
Thank you. Raise your right hand. In the name
In the name
and by the authority
and by the authority
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
I
I, Paul Fredericks,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of Council Member Place 5 of the City of Helotes
of the office of Council Member Place 5 of the city of Helotes
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
protect and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States,
and of this state, so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Can I get your signature?
Picture time.
For the press. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
The one with the certificate. He was playing here. The one-
I was offended. I felt let down. How dare you do that to me? Yeah, well, okay. I felt really let down. I felt like my body let me down.
Hi.
That was emotional. Like, wait, this is right.
Good seeing you, man. Remember to take this home.
How's it going?
Grace, did we have anyone sign up to speak?
No, sir.
No one signed up to speak at our open session, so we will move on to our consent agenda. Tonight, that's items 4 through 6. These items are clustered together because they're considered fairly routine business for the city, and the intention is to have the council approve them as a group with one motion and one second. Before we ask for a motion, I would ask if there were any questions from the council or any request to pull either of the items 4 through 6. Anybody? No questions?
I did have one question,
Okay.
and pardon my ignorance, but public relations specialist, is that a new position, or was that something that we have had for a while?
We have had a development services part-time specialist to assist the Development Services Department, and this would turn that position into a public relations specialist position that would be in charge of all municipal events as far as coordination, and also all dealings with the press, social media, everything related to the city's message to the public.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Anything?
On the minutes, it's just in a misuse of a word on page 3. Instead of amiable, the word should be amenable.
Okay. Grace, you have that? Okay. Anything else? So the minutes would include the one change of the word, what was it?
Amenable,
Amenable?
adding amenable or replacing it.
Yeah, okay,
Amiable.
on page 3. So a motion would include that change to the minutes. So if we could have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda items 4 through 6, please.
Mr. Mayor, move that we approve consent agenda items 4, 5, and 6 as written.
We have a motion from Fredericks. Do we have a second?
I'll second, but we need to make the changes, sir.
Do what?
don't we need to make that,
Yeah, he forgot
She
to,
did.
but he didn't say it.
he said as written.
He said as
Oh,
written.
okay,
With the approved changes.
with the approved
Sorry
changes.
about that.
So
I'll second that motion.
technically, it's amended motion. I thought I made it clear, but just to make it doubly clear, it includes that one-word change in the minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I'll second that, yes, sir.
So all in favor of the amended motion to approve consent agenda items 4 through 6 with the one-word change to the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. That takes us to our item number 7, items for individual consideration. This is discussion and action of an application for a sign variance for Elf Industries, Inc. So if we can have a motion and a second, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we discuss and take action on item number 7 as written.
We have a motion from Massey. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Buys. And we do have our city attorney here who had submitted an opinion on this also. So if you would like for him to discuss that, we'll ask him to give us his impression of the application and the ordinance. So Cynthia, you're first up. It's your motion.
Well, this whole little situation about the signs over here is kind of, still a little distressing for me. I drove by there. My way of thinking is, this is in Old Town, and Old Town has special rules. I've been living in Helotes for almost 24 years, and I recall seeing these signs, and they've never bothered me. It just seems like part of that whole, atmosphere of Helotes, Old Town. The building's old. I mean, to me, it's just all part of the building. It never bothered me. I never even, when I think of banners, I understand what the banners are, but for some reason I thought that they were talking about those tall banners that flow in the wind, like at a car lot. That I would not be for at all, but these banners don't bother me. I do understand that we have an ordinance that prohibits apparently these type of banners. I do tend to agree that these particular things are grandfathered, that they have been there for a long time before this ordinance was put in. I am distressed about some of the things that happened when our code compliance person went over and the way that he was treated. I think that was not very good. I just believe in the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law. So I'm not gonna say where I'm gonna go on this at this point, but those are my thoughts, and I'd just like to hear the rest of the council people, what they have to say.
Okay, Bert?
Well, what Councilmember Massey said is pretty much echoes how I feel about it. The only thing is, I think we need to work on our ordinances with, maybe send something back to P and Z or not send something back, but task them with possibly going over our ordinances and bringing them more up to date. This is something I believe that we've actually talked about before, and we really haven't done it yet. To me, we just need to get this done. And we need to try to help our businesses as much as we can. And, Old Town, they have, they don't get the traffic flow like, a lot of our other businesses do here, further down the street and everything. So I think we should really consider this variance, but also task P and Z with possibly going over our ordinance and changing things to make it more, maybe like Councilmember Massey's saying, maybe do some special things in there for Old Town or some older businesses, because Elf's been there since 1970, if I'm correct, and they're one of our beginning businesses out here. So I pretty much feel like Councilmember Massey at this time.
Alex?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we really have a kind of a couple things that we're looking at. I agree that I want to be I want to express my thought that, yes, I know that some of the signs in question have been there for a long time. I'm not so sure, however, that's what the citation was about. It was the possibility, and maybe we get some clarification about signs that have not been there a long time but are substituting one for the other, and/or what happens with new ones. As I look at this agenda item, I don't see anything specific that the variance is requesting. And so if the request is to grandfather the existing signs that are now hanging on the fence, or possibly the non-conforming signs that are hanging on the building, or the ones that are stretched between poles and/or trees, okay, but the variance doesn't say that. The request doesn't really say what it is that they're asking. Are they asking for permanent permission to put any banners anywhere on the property at any time, regardless of size? Because that's not what the request is stating. I really don't know what the request is that's being brought before us, because it really only seems to be making a statement that the variance request is stating that they don't like the fact, or they don't agree with the fact that banners should be regulated. So I really don't know what the request is that we're voting on in this sense. I would be amenable, not amiable, I would be amenable to granting some permission for banners, certainly those that have been there that predate our ordinance, and possibly to say, yes, this is a unique area of our city and that we should grant some additional permissions. But before I can vote yes, I need to know what that is that we're being requested of. I do not feel comfortable granting a blanket permission forever in the future for as many banners, and regardless of size, shape, and purpose. So I want to know more before I can say yes, because I just don't know enough. Thank you.
Ed?
Thanks. I just read Attorney Frank Garza's opinion in that email, and I agree with his opinion about amending 6631. We need to expand the language, or better define the language within. That's the first thing. Second thing, to draw some type of comparison to this business and other businesses, and the closest one I can come up with is Jupy Mills Feed Store. They have signs. You'll see the backs of the signs only when they're closed. When they're open, the gates are wide open and they face the street, and there's multiple signs there. A while back, we had an opportunity to discuss signage regarding some of the stores, like AutoZone, for example. And we had a set number of windows. We were talking about square footage and got into the weeds about all that. And in the end, we decided, I think, to have one sign per window that faced Bandera Road. I don't think we should treat Elf Hardware any differently than we treat Jupy or the bigger store, the big box stores like AutoZone. So I would like to see code enforcement take a harder look at, how they approach these stores or businesses, and before they start issuing either citations or warnings. I think it's somewhat selective enforcement, in my opinion, and I'd like to see that corrected. So I would like to see this ordinance, or this variance granted, in my opinion. Thanks.
What's the variance you want to grant? What do you want to grant?
Well, there's a variance request here in front of us, isn't there?
Okay.
Doesn't
Paul?
specify what they want.
I am sympathetic to the business down there that's been down there for a long period of time, and I guess one of my questions that I had was, are the banners for special event sales? And I didn't see that anywhere in the notes here. And like Councilman Blue, it was kind of vague what they were asking for. I'm not opposed to the banners down there. I haven't, like Councilman Massey said, they haven't bothered me in the past. So I think we do owe a little bit of consideration to the businesses down there, but I think our ordinances need some tightening up. That's all.
Yeah, we are looking at not only this part of the ordinance, but other parts, such as signs in people's yards for home builders or remodelers, those kinds of things, where right now it's only for realtors to have a small sign in a yard, and other things that are confusing in the ordinance, and that's just a work in progress. Rick, did you have anything on this, dealing with permitting of the banners or anything like that?
No, the only,
there or anywhere
the only
else?
statement I would have is that if you're, to me, the applicant is requesting a variance from the banner section, so they could put up as many banners as they would want. Was my understanding by the variance request. So I would need some direction from council as to whether that is indeed what is being approved, or are we limiting it to a certain number, or what? Otherwise, we cannot regulate it.
Right.
And maybe that's the point. Maybe council's okay with that.
And that none of the banners would need to be permitted, so there would be an unlimited numbers, they're saying, and no permitting. So if you could tighten up a little bit on what your variance is, that would be helpful to us as staff. Frank, did you have any input on this for the council to help them out?
The only thing I wanted to point out with regards, I understood in the application that the applicant did not believe that they were required to get a variance or a permit because this was not a special event. I did want to point out in section 6641, it lists the signs that are allowed in the city. And it does say banner, temporary and site development under 6644, which is banners for special events. If it doesn't fall under that category, then they're not allowed. I mean, that's why I said maybe we could amend 6631 to include banners as prohibited signs unless they fall under the exception of 6644, which is the special event. So if the council, and I have seen in other municipalities where they have an area that's an older part of town where they do have different rules and regulations than they do for the newer parts of the city and so forth. So I do recommend that if the city does look at that in amending their ordinance, that it does distinguish the Old Town versus the remainder of Helotes. But I do agree with Rick and a few of the council members that if a variance is granted, you need some specificity so that the staff knows what they're enforcing and what they're not enforcing.
Thanks. Cynthia, any other discussion?
I agree that we do need to be specific on what we are granting the variance on. I would like to give them the variance, but not ad hoc for everything. I'm looking on one of the incident reports, which talks about the banners that are there right now. It says at the time of this warning, and I'd like to be corrected if it's still not true, or if it's true or not. He observed 3 unpermitted banners on the cable fencing around the property, 2 still banners, and 1 Traxxas banner. Okay, so those are the 3. And then 3 unpermitted banners on one of the buildings, a Ranger Storm Restoration banner, a Traxxas banner, and a SA Total Tree Service banner. So those are the banners that are there right now, is that correct? And those are the only banners that are there right now? That's correct. Okay. As I said, I drove by there, I saw all these banners and where they were located. They've never bothered me, they didn't bother me when I drove by there. To me, it fit the town, the Old Town District, and it fit the building. So I guess I would amend my, I haven't even made the motion yet, really.
No.
We're discussing.
To
it.
discuss, right.
But I would like to amend the motion to say that we would only allow the variance on the existing banners as they are at this juncture. Is that sufficient?
That's sufficient, but I just want to clarify. If the business needed to change one of those banners, you're allowing that, and they can't have any more than what's allowed, but they will be allowed to switch the banners that are there if needed?
As long as, well, see, that's the thing. The ones that are there, the reason they didn't bother me is because they're for an actual, I guess a company or business. It's not like 5 cents off today, those kind of things I don't want to see. I guess, I don't know how to stipulate that. Advertising for sales kind of things, I don't want to see. So
You want to see the product banners,
the product banners are fine with me for that particular,
and you don't have a problem that if they change the product banners, let's say a company, they no longer have Lawn Boy lawnmowers, they now have Toro lawnmowers, so they remove the lawnmower banner and put up a Toro banner.
that would not bother me, but I'd like to hear what my other council members say.
So right now, you're looking at the number of banners that are there now would be
Yes.
what you'd like to see stay there. Bert?
And you're limited to product banners?
Product
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I have a question. Have we ever received a complaint from a citizen about the banners there, ever?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that I'm aware of, but we do get the typical, when we're trying to enforce it on one business, they point to other businesses, and then code
Gotcha.
enforcement is
And
required.
that happens with signs and windows, signs everywhere. We really don't get complaints on anything like that. That's why when we did the windows stuff, I was saying it's really unenforceable unless we have sign police that are going out there on a daily basis
Right.
to every business trying to control it. And we, as we've talked about many times before, all of our businesses, we want to encourage them to be able to do business. And so we'll need to loosen up on some of these sign ordinances, which are a carryover from many, many years ago.
Yes, sir. Well, my question is, wouldn't it be, in my mind, wouldn't it be a good thing to maybe meet with the owner and see exactly what he wants, and then tell him, and then go with,
He's here right now.
yeah, I understand that, but I think you need a meeting, not just do it at a council meeting, have a meeting with the owner and see exactly what he wants, you know, and maybe we can negotiate and get it done that way.
Councilman, I did meet with his representation.
Oh, I didn't know that, I'm sorry.
Stayed casually in the hall, and essentially, it was my understanding that they believed that they were exempted from the entire banner ordinance. So they believe that they should be able to put up, and maybe I'm wrong, if you could clarify, that would be great, any banner on their property at any time, regardless of number.
Is that correct?
Go ahead, Michael.
No, Mr.
Lay it
Mayor,
on us.
Rick and I
If
have
you would,
had
please,
discussions.
please state your name and your address. and
Yes,
who
sir,
you
Michael
represent.
Black. I'm an attorney here and in San Antonio, and we represent Elf Industries. Rick and I, the city administrator and I have had several discussions on the phone, and then our meeting right out here about this. I've never said that he wants unrestricted authority to put up any number of banners that he wants. In fact, if the council believes that you want to put a restriction on it, it's okay for the number of banners that are out there right now. We'd like to be able to change them. They're product banners, not special event banners. And I haven't seen Frank's opinion, but it seems to me that the ordinance should not apply to businesses, and that there are other businesses, as one of the council members said, who have a bunch of other banners, and they're not being singled out, and they're not getting visits, and they're not getting warnings or violations. This started because there was one violation warning, not a ticket, not a citation, that was issued on March the 7th. And that's the only one I've seen until the packet was published with the agenda, until it was posted. We didn't know about any of those other reports or any of those other visits. The one on March the 7th simply says that it is a violation purportedly of 6644 and two of those subsections about the number of signs, 3 instead of 2, and no permit. But to my reading of that ordinance, and again, I haven't seen Mr. Garza's opinion of it, but to me, the courts and councils have to construe statutes as written and in the plain meaning and intent of the statute. And that statute specifically says in that section A, it says the purpose is to regulate special event banners. And then there's a definition of special events. And it doesn't cover or apply to product banners for businesses, period. I think that that's a provision of the ordinance that needs to be revisited, as was suggested by P&Z and by the council, and to get the language beefed up, however you want to regulate reasonably commercial businesses and product banners. But I am sensitive as well to Councilman Massey's comments about a couple of the things that appeared in the code compliance officer's report. Mr. Blaschke's report basically said at one point, Mr. Faust, the owner of Elf Industries, was mad. I don't think it said he used any foul language. It said that he was mad, and he threw some paper that Mr. Blaschke gave him into the trash. I think that was on the day that he had a robbery that morning, and he was upset of thinking that he was being singled out when that there was there's some banners next door at Flores Country Store. There's some banners that was mentioned at Jupy. There's banners over here at Tractor Supply. There's banners at several other places, and I think Mr. Schroeder indicated to me that there's like 150 different businesses in Helotes that have banners, and that code compliance was going to visit after this, but it seems to me that none of the banners for businesses are regulated by this existing ordinance. And we're not asking for any special treatment. We're not asking for putting up any number of banners or signs. We're asking simply that the product banners and signs that are up there now be approved so that he doesn't have to worry about getting another visit from code compliance and possibly getting a citation.
Okay, just to clarify, Michael, he does on one of those incident reports dated February 22nd that he went by there, and that was the day that Mr. Faust had the burglary, and that he went ahead and left. He went back on March 7th, and that's when the incident occurred with having the citation, or the warning, I guess it was, tossed into the garbage can. It wasn't on the same day, according to the incident reports that we have.
I understand that. I read that in the packet. We didn't know about the other incident reports that were filed with the city. The only one that we knew about was the warning violation that was given to him on March the 7th.
Yeah.
And on that particular one, he had already come to believe that he was being singled out after talking to other businesses, and after even being told by the code compliance officer that one particular business that has a bunch of banners out there, that the city told him, somebody on city council told him to keep hands off. So that was after all of that happened. And so we don't think that any business should have hands off. We think that whatever regulates one ought to regulate all. And we want to comply with whatever the ordinances and regulations are and always do the right thing. One thing I often say at the courthouse and in meetings is that Lincoln said that let us have faith that right makes might. And in that faith under God, let us dare to do our duty as we understand it. And the way I read the statutes is that the duty should be that ordinance, the way I read the ordinance is that it applies only to special events, doesn't apply to product banners. I do think that perhaps it's not unreasonable for the owner to have believed that he was being singled out when there's other businesses all around that haven't been up to that point at least. And so all he wants is to be able to use his product banners that he's got out there, not asking for any authority for any unlimited additional banners, and wants to be able to replace them as necessary with additional product banners, and that's it. Doesn't want any special treatment. He just wants to be treated equally as everybody does and should be.
I would like to disagree with you. I can't imagine any council member that we have here, myself included, would give that directive to our code enforcement officer.
I can't imagine it either, Mr. Mayor.
That code enforcement officer is fully trained, and he answers to the city administrator.
Right.
And I just can't go along with that statement you made.
I
And
didn't
just
make
so
the
you'll know.
statement. I was reporting what the owner said that the code compliance officer said to him.
Yeah, okay. Duly noted. I would like to point out to council that in times in the past, code enforcement, from Joe Encina to, I don't know if Dustin Blosky's been doing it, but we have made a concentrated effort throughout the city to get a handle on banners, because a lot of them were looking pretty bad at one point years ago. And we actually brought the sign ordinance to the council, to this council. And as I recall, I don't know the date, but that's when the permitting requirement was put on banners. It was a nominal fee, and it was for a certain number of days for a banner to be up, and they could be up for a certain number of quarters a year. I don't remember exactly how it read, but this council did take action on banners at one point in the past, several years ago, and we do have to look at it again. But to make some of these blanket statements like you and others have made that we single businesses out, it's just not true. A lot of business owners may feel that way, but we have documentation that can show that we go to businesses on a regular basis for different things that they're in violation of. We don't necessarily write citations. We do everything we can to work with these businesses because we want the businesses to thrive. But when we have an ordinance, then you have this dilemma. Is it enforceable or isn't it enforceable? Do we want to enforce it or don't we? And that's what this council has to decide. So we will bring back some changes, but we need council's help too on what you expect to see so that we're just not throwing a bunch of paper at you guys and creating a lot of work for the staff. So we're going to have to look at some direction, and we're getting that from business owners. We're getting that from staff. And we will address it. But again, some of these blanket statements about being singled out just, to me, aren't true. And we can talk about that all night long. I'm just saying that I don't want to let you get out of here thinking that your client is being singled out because he's not.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I don't want you to get out of here thinking that I'm saying that he was.
I understand.
I was given a report
I got
that
you.
the client believes that and following up on what another council member had said.
Yeah.
And it felt like that to him.
And I can understand that.
But I know the city doesn't do that or doesn't want to do that, and things happen, but things happen.
We
I
work
hope and
very
know for
hard to
good.
go the other way, and
You
that's
bet.
why we give a lot of leeway to a lot of businesses on different things, and we try
Absolutely.
and improve our ordinances. And I will be the first to say, some of them are very confusing in many places, and they're very gray areas, and they're hard to interpret.
Yeah.
And that's why you're here, and Frank Garza's here. And so it's an ongoing process to try and make these things fair and equitable to everyone.
Well, and I was head of the PMZ for several years in the 90s, and so I understand how the process works. And I've been a resident for almost 30 years, and we want everything to be done right, and we think that the council's doing an excellent job. And I congratulate you all on a good month, including the election and Corneyval and everything else.
Okay.
But the way I read the sign ordinance, and I haven't talked to Frank about this, and I don't know what his opinion says, but if you look at 6644, banners, temporary signs, and site development signs, at the very start, it says, A, banners shall be regulated as follows. Number one, purpose of that whole section A, and it's number one subsection there. Purpose, to advertise a special event other than a recurring event which recurs on a regular basis. And then it has the limits and the permitting and all that. But then back in the definitions, it says specifically what a special event is. And the special event, I think I have it highlighted here, that says that a special event sign means a sign for events such as grand openings, craft shows, benefits, fundraisers, festivals, and other limited-term events. Well, business that's been here since 1971 is not a limited term, and this is for product, and it's for commerce, and it's for the business, and it's not at all for a special event banner. And I think the P&Z needs to revisit it. I think council needs to revisit it. I'm not going to second-guess what I think was in Frank's legal memorandum, but I would guess that he would say something like that too.
Nope.
And you're not saying that the banners that are there now have been there since 1971.
Oh, no, not at all.
You're just saying that banners have been there in one form or another since 1971.
Yes, sir. I have never said that
Okay.
these banners have been there for 46 years. What I'm saying
Good.
is that these are commercial banners for product, and we just want the number that's out there and be able to replace them as necessary for product, commercial reasons.
You have made your opinion known, so if you would, go ahead and take a seat, and if anybody else has a question, we'll call you back. But in the meantime, let the council get back to work. Frank, did you have anything to say to
I
that?
just want to point out that, just like all good lawyers, you only cite the provisions that are beneficial to you, and you don't cite all the provisions. I would ask Mr. Black to look at 6641, which is the sign, the ordinance that specifically says these are the signs that are allowed. Below is a listing of signs that are allowed under this chapter. And for banner signs, 6644 are the only ones that are allowed, which are special event banners. If they're not special event banners, they're not allowed without a variance. So it's true, banners that are allowed in the city are special event banners. All other banners are not allowed under the ordinance under 6641. So, but again, there's probably some clarification that needs to be done. I read 6641, to me it was clear. The only banners allowed are special event banners. All other banners are prohibited.
Okay. So Cynthia, we're back to the number that's there now. Okay, Bert, did you have any follow-up to that?
No.
Alex?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Enlightening. I'll just say that my son is the manager of Jupy Mills. I am on council. I have never once spoken to any individual in code enforcement with regard to that. It's on the records being recorded. Never happened. And I'm sorry that individuals have chosen to say, I'm not saying I believe it, but I don't mind repeating it. So that's disappointing. But back to the issue at hand. I am concurrent that we should grant the variance to allow the number, the size, and the placement. I know that the size and the placement was not part of your motion, but I think that should be part of it. Of the existing banners, and I would include not just the ones in the warnings and/or the documentations, but also those which are currently located upon the building, some of which do not meet otherwise sign ordinances for building wall-mounted signs, because they are not, they don't meet that. So I would prefer that we include those as well, not just the ones that are hanging either on the fence line or the other. Thank you.
Rick, are you making notes of this so that we can repeat it to council for the amended motion? Grace? Ed, any comments?
Just one last comment. I think Mr. Black hit it on the head. We're talking about product signs. Product signs, if I understand Mr. Faust's business properly, he is an authorized steel dealer. Steel produces any number of products. I think that's what you have out there. And just like anything else, every year a new model may come out of a chainsaw, weed eater, and the like. How many signs, so that we get some kind of direction, how many signs do you think you would, need or would like to display? And again, you change them out every year as the models change. Let's just try to get down to some.
5 or 6. I don't think that would ever change. And that would probably be more than I would ever need. As far as the ones on the building, I spent $70,000 to have that building.
Byron, if you would, give us your name.
Byron Faust, owner and operator of Elf Hardware. The ones that are on the sign, actually I'm a silent owner of the SA Tree Service. So I think I'm entitled to, do a little bit of advertisement for me and my other partner. As far as the restoration, I don't have a problem taking that down. The other Traxxas sign is we have an RC system inside now, and we want to do a little bit of advertisement. As far as trying to do it on paper or on the radio, it's kind of prohibitive because it's expensive. So we're trying to do whatever we can to make some sales, so that's the only thing I want you guys to look at. Thanks.
So half a dozen would be good?
I would be happy with that, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Paul?
Mr. Mayor? Excuse me.
Yeah.
I would like to respond briefly to what Councilman Blue said. I never singled
Just a
out.
second, just a
Okay.
second. Let Paul finish.
No, I don't have
You don't have
further.
it?
No,
Okay,
sir.
Michael.
I never singled out Jupy Mills in what I said. I never said that the code compliance officer said specifically that it was Jupy Mills. I've just reported what the owner told me. I think if you talk to Alex, you'll find that I'm one of his best customers. And also, he went to high school and has been friends with our middle daughter for 15 years. So I don't want you to get the impression that I was singling out you or Alex or Jupy Mills for something like that. That was simply
I
a
understand that.
report.
I do understand that you chose your words extremely carefully, and I would expect that you would. But there's not a person on this council and/or who's paying attention that doesn't realize that is what was implied. And I'm just saying,
I wasn't implying it, Counsel.
Okay.
I wasn't saying that.
I'll take you
So
for it.
basically, it would fall under the category, in my opinion, of hearsay.
Clearly.
It was hearsay,
Okay,
of course.
very good. Thank you very much. We'll let council get back to it. Cynthia, do you have anything else to add?
No, like I said, I just,
So are you,
I'm okay with the signs that are there. There's 6 signs, and I'm okay with replacing the same size and placement of the existing signs on the wall, on the building and on the fence where they are right now. That's
with future product
with
sign?
future product signs, only product signs.
So we are talking about 6 total signs.
Yes, that's what they have. said.
Banners,
They're
Banners.
Banners.
interchangeable at will.
Interchangeable at will, yes.
Okay. In the same locations as they are now, basically?
Yes. Yeah, where they are now is fine.
Okay, so that's how the motion would be amended. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
So the variance would read that the banners that he has basically now, 6 of them, same locations, same size, same material, all of that would be okay in this variance? Okay, Alex, is that good for you?
Fine. As long as, does the 6 include or not include those that are on the building?
Yes.
Because I want,
Yes.
Yes,
okay.
it does.
Because I think there are more than 6 if you include the ones on the building. That's only why
No.
I mentioned that.
No, it's,
There are more, there are 5 or 6 on the building in addition to the
5
4
out
or
on the
5 out there.
fences, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 that are actually on the building.
So I don't want to see us go with 6 and then end up having to say, okay, now which ones he's got to take. I'm saying the ones that are currently there, whatever that count is, which might be more than 6, and I believe it is.
Well, he's saying 10 now.
And I'd be happy to take down, like I say, the restoration deal, I just did it because they did my building, and I wanted to say thank you for them taking care of it, so.
Okay, so we're saying with 6? 3 on the fence, 3 on the building?
Convenient than that.
4 on
Well,
the
see,
fence?
I got 4 on the building right now, and one of them's like a Traxxas deal, which is RC cars, and then one I'm a private partner in, so I think I'm entitled to, give them some advertisement. Would you go with 10? Where it's out there now,
It's not
leaving the
me,
restoration?
it's these guys.
like I said, when I was out there, I saw all of the signs and they did not bother me
Correct.
at all. And in fact, they were showing the different products that you sell, which, anyone who would be driving by going, oh, they sell steel products, I'm gonna go in there. They didn't bother me, so.
But some of them are advertising other businesses, and that's what he's saying, those would stay there also. They're not product signs, they're
They're
business
not
signs.
product signs. Oh, okay, well, that's,
It's just my other
And-
product
and
in
then-
business is what it is. so.
Right, and then you've gone from 6 to now 10.
Correct.
So now you'll
And
be
that's
happy
what's
with
been up there
10.
existing more or less throughout the years.
So now he says he'll be happy with 10.
well, like I said,
I
What's
haven't
out there
s-
now?
I haven't seen them myself, so.
They're right here. These are the 2 on the fence that face Floor Drive.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. There is one on the fence that you can see the backside of here that faces Bandera Road. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the side of the building. Yeah. So that's why I said
That's
you
11.
said 6, and that's what I wanted to make sure we didn't.
So you said 4 were on the building.
It's
I
inconsistent.
didn't know
there's
there
6 on the
so
building?
ones
I didn't
existing,
take
the
any
two numbers
pictures
don't
of it,
match.
so.
Okay, so now are we up to 12?
I think it's 10.
10? Okay.
Can you go what's up there now that's existing?
So it's to be a number for the future.
No matter if it's 10 or 11?
Okay, so 10. Because I really, it doesn't bother me either. It's up to you
let's
guys.
just go with
So
what's there now.
Okay.
And
But we
then
need
if
a
you're gonna
number.
replace, like those business ones with product signs later, if you wanna do that, okay?
Okay.
Same size and all that.
Okay. So it's the number of signs that are there now, basically in the same places. And we would ask, I'm assuming council would, that the banners stay in pretty good shape and
Sure,
and don't-
absolutely,
don't droop.
yeah.
It would be in your benefit, for your benefit also.
Sure.
Anything else from you?
I'm sorry, I just need to ask, is a product sign the same as a business sign?
No.
It is not. So you cannot, and we're not going to allow any other, I mean, like if you bring in another business or something into your deal. Yeah.
Why
Okay.
would I not be allowed to do that, though?
But it would be part of the 10.
Well, yeah, I would adjust that, or what's ever up there now, if they're 10 or 11, whatever.
So if you brought in a new business, you'd have to take down a
I
still
would
sign
take
and
down
put
one or
down-
adjust, yeah, I could do that, so.
What we're trying to do, I think what council is trying to do is find something that's going to be amenable to you,
Absolutely.
Yes.
keep you happy,
Sure.
to where we don't have to go through this again.
I agree, so,
Okay.
okay.
Alex? Good. Anything else? Ed?
I'm good.
Paul, you're good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Grace, do you have those amendments? Would you please, just for the motion, it's an amended motion, please repeat what you have?
The number of signs that are currently located there now, same place, same size, same location.
You okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, so essentially, for practical matters, I would like to be emailed the pictures that you have, Councilman Blue, so that we will put that in the file and there will be no amendments to that going forward.
But we're agreeing that they could substitute one for another.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, but those locations and
So there's no
You can figure out how to get it off of
specificity
here
to the number of product signs or business signs, just so that altogether they don't exceed 10? Okay. We good with that? I believe it's 10.
Let's go with 10.
Be happy with 10.
Okay. We went from
And
6.
any further discussion? Okay, then the amended motion is for the number of signs now. Read it one more time, Grace.
The number of signs that are there now, 10. Same location, same size, same material. Rick will get pictures. You may substitute them.
Good. Okay, that's the motion. And so your second is still valid?
This is a variance, right?
Yes.
Yes. My second is still valid.
Anybody else? Okay, all in favor of this variance, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Okay, next up, we have a closed session. This is in accordance with Texas Government Code 551.074, personnel matters. In addition to the matters listed below, any matter scheduled for open session may be discussed in closed session as appropriate and authorized by law. Under 551.074, personnel matters on the selection of Mayor Pro Tem for the City Council, City of Helotes, Texas. And so we are going to not adjourn, we're going to go into closed session at 7:53. Okay, we're back from executive session at 8:11. We were in executive session in accordance with the Texas Government Code 551.074, personnel matters. And those personnel matters were for the selection of Mayor Pro Tem for the City Council of the City of Helotes, Texas. And no action was taken in the closed session. And so at this point, there is an action item number 9, for taking nominations for, and
Mr. Mayor, I move that we we discuss and take action on number 9 as written, and I would like to nominate Bert Bies as our next Mayor Pro Tem.
okay, we have a discussion and action. We have a motion from Massey. Do we have a second?
Second. And I'll nominate Ed Villanueva.
By seconded. So we have a nomination from Massey for Bert Bies. And we have a nomination from Fredericks for Villanueva. Okay. Any other nominations before we call for a vote? Okay, all in favor, and if you would, raise your hands so we can get the count properly. All in favor of Bert Bies for Mayor Pro Tem, say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
So we have three for Bert Bies. All for Villanueva, say aye, raise your hands.
Aye.
We have 2, Fredericks and Villanueva. So Bert Bies takes the vote as Mayor Pro Tem. Congratulations. And That's the end of our business. If there are no objections, we will adjourn this meeting. The meeting is adjourned at 8:13.